What's up, Gamecocks? I'm Chandler Mack, and alongside me is Carson Mason. With the start of the NFL season already in the books, we wanted to talk to you guys about what we think will transpire on the field this season. Now, Carson, I understand that you're a Lions fan, correct?
Yep, that's right. My dad grew up in Detroit, and I've been a Lions fan basically my whole life.
Okay, awesome. Now, coming into this season, you guys lost quite a few pieces on your defensive line, including Nick Fairley and Ndamukong Suh. How do you think losing these guys will affect you this coming season?
Well, I think our defense will definitely take a step back from what it was last season, but luckily we did get Gabe Wright and Haloti Ngata from the Ravens, and those additions will definitely help fill in some holes, but I think overall it'll be a step back for us. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think overall for the Lions, losing Suh may be beneficial in the end. He had a bad reputation. A lot of people thought of him as a dirty player.
Definitely.
And I know the Lions are trying to clean up their reputation, so it may work out in the end. It'll just be something we have to wait and see.
Definitely, and not only did Suh have a bad reputation of being a dirty player, but he was also a serious cap hit. For the Miami Dolphins, they paid him $100 million, and
So
you guys,
expensive.
so expensive, and you guys already have Calvin Johnson and Stafford on your salary cap, so it would have definitely been a serious cap hit signing him. So it might end up working for you guys in the long run.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. We do have a good defense, and we have some veterans on the team, but we'll just have to see if Haloti Ngata and Gabe Wright can fill in.
Definitely. Now, with all that said, who do you feel is kind of the favorite in the NFC North? Do you feel like your Lions is a favorite, or maybe a team in Green Bay?
Yeah, I think the Packers will run away with the division again this year. They've done it several years in a row. Hopefully the Lions will grab a wild card spot, but I predict Green Bay will win the division pretty easily, and then the Lions will probably have second. But the Vikings, they'll put up a tough fight for that second spot.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. In fact, talking about the Vikings, I actually see them possibly as a sleeper team for this upcoming season, because you think about it, they're returning Teddy Bridgewater.
Yep.
He has one more year in the offense and everything. Adrian Peterson's coming
back,
back to the
yep.
fold, so
That'll help them.
that's definitely going to help them a lot and everything. So I don't know, they might even sneak past your Lions in that wild card
There's been
spot.
talk that the Lions will slip down to third, and then Chicago will obviously probably be last.
Yeah, they're going to be. Yeah. Jay Cutler's their quarterback. But now, with all that said, since both me and Carson agree that the Green Bay Packers are probably going to run away with the NFC North, let's talk about how maybe the Seahawks or maybe another team could compete with the Packers in order to get to Super Bowl 50.
Yeah, definitely the Seahawks are going to be a tough competitor for them. I've heard talk about the Cardinals maybe coming in there, and then maybe even Dallas if they have a good season. I'm not really sure with those two teams, but definitely Seattle.
Yeah, definitely Seattle, because I'm looking at Seattle, and the thing is that they've really retooled their team. They may have lost Cam Chancellor because he's holding out right now, but he'll probably ultimately be back, but I honestly feel like even without him, there's still a lethal defense, one of the best we've seen in a very long time, with a Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas coming back off injury, guys like that. And then let's not forget, they had a guy by the name of Jimmy Graham in via trade, so that's definitely going to help them. You said the Cardinals as well.
Yeah.
I could see them possibly, but the thing that kind of scares me about the Cardinals is they kind of don't have a running game.
Yeah.
Not only that, Larry Fitzgerald, he's kind of getting up there in age, so can he still be that number one wide receiver? Maybe a Michael Floyd could kind of take the reins as that number one wide receiver for them, but ultimately we'll see, definitely. It's going to be a good year. That kind of wraps up things for the NFC. Let's kick it to Dalton and Lorenzo, who will kick things off in the AFC.
Hey guys, this is Lorenzo Campbell here with Dalton Isles, and we're here to give the AFC preview. Opening week is always interesting in the AFC, dating back all the way to '94, where the iconic shootout between Drew Bledsoe and Dan Marino happened, dating even recently to 2013, where Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdowns against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they're opening up the season against the Ravens again, so I think he has a good shot of repeating the same thing. Unfortunately, though, opening day hasn't been great for some teams, like the Cleveland Browns. They've lost 10 straight season openers. But the good news is they play the Jets week 1, so they can erase that unfortunate trend.
And speaking of the Jets, the AFC East is going to be an interesting division this year. Always led by the New England Patriots, but this year could be a few changes that we see. The Miami Dolphins are an emerging team, good young team who brought in Sue to really strengthen their defense, and they have a dynamic duo in Ryan Tannehill and Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, the division that catches my eyes is the AFC South. You have all the young quarterbacks emerging. Blake Bortles is in his second year. Marcus Mariota will be his rookie season, and obviously the superstar Andrew Luck. And for all you Gamecock fans out there, Jadeveon Clowney's finally healthy, and he'll be paired up with Watt and Wilfork on the same line, which is going to be lethal.
Go Cox. And another division that we could really see do good this year is the AFC North. They always compete every year, every team for a playoff spot. But I think the team this year that'll really emerge in that division will be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I think initially they're going to struggle with Bell and Bryant suspended, but you can't write them off because as soon as Bryant and Bell come back, their offense is going to be a force to reckon with. You can't count out the Bengals or Ravens though because they're always competitive and they make things interesting.
Yeah, I believe when those guys, Brian and Le'Veon, come back, they really will be able to peel away from the rest of the division later on in the season. They'll eventually emerge. But in the playoffs, who do you think will be able to compete with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I actually think the Steelers are going to lose. I think it's going to be the Colts and the Patriots again. However, this year I believe Andrew Luck's going to prevail because signing Andre Johnson and Frank Gore really boosted their offense. And Roger Mathis will be back on defense, which will help them significantly.
Well, I believe it'll be the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship because I believe the Broncos are a team that everyone is sleeping on. They have really strengthened their defense, bringing in T.J. Ward, and they brought in Shane Ray along with Von Miller to really help out their defense. And then, even though they lost Julius Thomas, they still have Demaryius Thomas and Peyton Manning who can really make any receiver look good. But all in all, I believe the Indianapolis Colts will come out of the AFC and go into the Super Bowl. The team that I believe that'll meet them from the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks. I believe they'll get in there for a third straight year because really they haven't lost much. They brought in Jimmy Graham to really help their offense, and they brought in Fred Jackson, a very close friend to Marshawn Lynch, to help them with their running game. And if Cam Chancellor decides to come play, their defense, of course, will be top tier.
Yeah, and for me, I believe the team that's going to face the Colts in the NFC is the Arizona Cardinals. This is kind of a flyer, but I believe with Carson Palmer back healthy, they're going to be unstoppable. They were 6-0 whenever he was playing, and so if he stays healthy, they have a good shot. And also, they were the only team to beat Seattle at Seattle, which is very impressive. And we can't not mention Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, coming back from injury. He's going to be a comeback player of the year candidate. And I just think Bruce Arians is such a good coach that I think he'll get a ring this time.
Definitely. And the team that I think will prevail and eventually win the Super Bowl is the Indianapolis Colts. I just believe this year is just Andrew Luck's year. He brought in Andre Johnson and he brought in Frank Gore to really help out their offense with T.Y. Hilton. They still have Vontae Davis and Robert Mathis. So I believe that team, just the core, will really help Andrew Luck finally prevail and get his Super Bowl ring that he deserves.
Yeah, and I think the Cardinals are actually going to beat the Colts because they also brought in Chris Johnson from the Jets, and I think that's going to significantly help their running game, give it a different change of pace from Andre Ellington.
Well, that's our Super Bowl predictions. I would like to kick it off to Chandler and Carson where they'll give their Super Bowl predictions.
Thanks, guys. Personally, I have the Broncos and the Seahawks being in the Super Bowl this season, and I'll tell you why. I have the Broncos in the AFC simply because they have guys like T.J. Ward, Aqib Talib, and DeMarcus Ware on their defense, and they also added a guy by the name of Shane Ray out of Missouri in the draft this season. So I think that the addition of him, along with adding him to an already powerful defense, will definitely make their defense very powerful this coming season. I also have them in the Super Bowl this season simply because they have a guy by the name of Peyton Manning who has pretty much every passing record in NFL history. And I think that with him behind center, they're definitely going to have a big-time chance to get to the Super Bowl this season. And I have the Seahawks in the NFC simply because they have a very high-powered defense. I mean, probably one of the best defenses we've ever seen in the league. They have guys like Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor. If he comes back from holdout, we'll see what happens with that. But if he comes back, adding him to that defense, and then on offense, they got a guy, Jimmy Graham from the Saints, and he's definitely going to help them out on the offensive end and be a good target for Russell Wilson. That's kind of why I have them in the Super Bowl. As far as winner, I would say that the Broncos will take it this year, even though they kind of got destroyed the last time they played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. But I think that this year will ultimately be a little different for the Broncos.
Well, I have two different teams than you. In the AFC, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They had some great offseason pickups. Frank Gore.
Andre Johnson.
Yep, thank you. In the NFC, I have the Green Bay Packers, even though I am a Lions fan. And they did lose Jordy Nelson, but come on, they have Aaron Rodgers, and they still have Eddie Lacy. So I think they'll run away with the NFC. And then winner, it's tough, but I'm going to go with the Packers. I think they'll edge out the Colts, and they have the experienced quarterback, and Andrew Luck is still, in the learning mode. So I think that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers will win the Super Bowl over the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, well, there you have it. There are all of our Super Bowl picks for this upcoming season. On behalf of Capital City Sports, I'm Chandler Mack. We'll see y'all next time.